what type of, or did you try to make any attempts to remove yourself from that life? Because some people can't, some people don't, because, you know, Stockholm syndrome, they try to sympathize with the abuser. Did you?
I had it.
Yeah.
The only time that I knew something was wrong and tried to escape was early on in the game.
Okay.
Of course, when you walk into the hotel room when we got to South Florida, his bottom at the time was sitting on the bed.
Okay.
So yes, I knew something was wrong. My stomach went to my throat. I wanted to throw up all over the place, and that's where my orders were given. And then everything changed, and he turned into that gorilla pimp, and I had to go to work. So yes, I knew something was wrong.
Sure.
Yes, I thought about times of escaping. Yes, I tried to escape at times and got the living mess beat out of me.
Really?
So you stop trying to escape.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Break That Cycle. I am your host, Bill Cheney. We are here to help you turn your obstacles into opportunity. Now, a few months ago, we had a really fun interview with Dottie Groover Skipper on human trafficking, and it was so good, and we got such good feedback from it. We are going to continue and do another episode with human trafficking at the forefront, and I have a very special guest here today with lived experience. Kim Figueroa is a nationally recognized survivor advocate and human trafficking expert. Having endured child trauma, foster care, and nearly 13 years of exploitation, Kim has transformed her lived experience into actionable leadership in victim advocacy and law enforcement collaboration. She has assisted the FBI, U.S. Marshals, and local law enforcement on complex cases and has led multi-jurisdictional missing children and sting operations in partnership with federal, state, and local agencies. Kim's work spans judicial advocacy, policy reform, and direct victim care, making her a trusted leader in the fight against human trafficking. Kim has been honored with a Special Service Award from the U.S. Marshals, the Survivor Advocate of the Year 2023 Award from the Attorney General's Office, the Evelyn Memorial Award from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and NEMEC, Pasco Sheriff's Special Service Award, Lightning Community Hero Award, and multiple other recognitions for her impact. She serves on 5 human trafficking boards and advisory councils and has spent the last 8 years providing frontline support through More to Life. Kim's mission is clear: to create systemic change, advance victims' rights, and eradicate human trafficking through advocacy, education, and collaborative action. Kim, welcome. That was a mouthful. You got a lot going on, and you've accomplished a lot too.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I was just getting ready to say the exact same words. That was a mouthful there.
So you and I first met a few months ago at the Break That Cycle premiere of the human trafficking episode with Dottie Groover Skipper. And you came that night to be a panelist, and we had a little panel discussion after we viewed the episode. And I was just so mesmerized by you are one of those people that walk into a room and you know Kim's there. You just bring this presence with you, and just a sense of strength. And when you got up on the panel, I was joking around, I think, with you, and I was like, you scare the shit out of me. Like, you just seem that powerful. In fact, one of the emails that we had with each other, was like, if I'm ever in a fight in a back alley, like, I'm calling Kim because I think I'm getting rescued at this point. So I really appreciate you coming all the way down here. You traveled like an hour and a half to get here, which I think might be the furthest that any guest has come down here.
Aww.
So thank you very much for that.
Absolutely.
Give me one takeaway that you had from that podcast premiere.
Oh, one?
Yeah.
That's really hard. Did you
like maybe the first
one?
Maybe the first one that came to mind.
It was all really so good, to be honest with you. As you know, like, Dottie is literally a spiritual mother to me. So she has blazed the trails for me, and I really honor that lady so much. just the wealth of knowledge that she has that she's able to pour into the community.
Yeah.
To educate and bring that awareness. And not only that, but she literally does fight for survivors.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to just choose one particular piece of that podcast, because there was just so much that she said. Like you said, it just fired us all up to continue to bring this issue to the forefront, to really put it out there.
If you want, you can just say the whole thing was perfect.
It was.
Yeah, there you go.
I can't
like
choose one. I mean, it was just so good.
Yeah. And it was really fun. That premiere night was, I loved it. It was so fun.
Yeah.
And the energy that Dottie brings and the whole Heart Dance Foundation was just, it was amazing to get everyone together there. So, so we're here to talk about your experience with trafficking, having been a victim of it and endured that for many, many years. But before we jump into that, like I do with most of our guests, I ask them about their childhood. Yeah. And just like most of our therapists will ask us, let's talk about your childhood.
That's right.
So what was, and you grew up in foster care, but you didn't, that's not your first memory of childhood. No. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So, it's like I always try to tell the community when we train, right? It's vulnerabilities. Mm-hmm. That's how you become a victim. So let's talk about those vulnerabilities that made me a victim. Yeah. So I can remember at the age of 2 years old watching my brother die in front of me.
Oh my.
That was my best friend.
Yeah.
That was my caretaker.
Yeah.
I came from a single parent home. My mom was never home. And so, little brother, actually older brother, was watching me. Fast forward to 5 years old. Now I don't have him. Yeah. And my grandfather steps into the picture. While mom's not home, she throws me off on him. Mm-hmm. And my mom was very mentally, verbally, and physically abusive already. Okay. But then my grandfather started raping me at 5. So I remember going to kindergarten, just a broken mess, and feeling like life was shattered already at 5 years old. Yeah. At 5, I was already experiencing all forms of abuse. And this continued until 5th grade, because I was 10 years old. He raped me one day, and after he was done, he literally fell off the bed and had a massive heart attack in front of me. So here's the issue, though. When I was younger and my mom left me alone, we lived in low-income housing. So if you don't know what that is, that's the projects. It's the worst of the worst. Yeah. Gunshots going off all day. Yeah. I was scared out of my mind. Yeah. And at that time, when she was leaving me home alone, before Grandpa, kind of stepped in the picture at between the ages of 2 and 5, I picked up a phone. We didn't have phone service, but back in the day, you had the phone that just plugged into the wall. Yeah. And I picked it up and called 911. Wow. I was scared. I heard gunshots outside. She wasn't home. I mean, I probably was 3 or 4 years old. And so I remember CPS coming, and after they left, I remember her beating me and saying, if you ever touch another phone again, I'll break your hands off next time. So let's go back to that 10-year-old little girl. The 10-year-old little girl that watched Grandpa die in front of her now won't touch a phone. Yeah. So I had to give you that context so that you could understand. I literally physically remember going and sitting. He lived in like the sunroom where there was no doors, so it was right next to the kitchen. Yeah. I just sat down at the kitchen table and just watched him die. And there was 2 things that ran through my mind at that time. And the only 2 things that ran through my mind was, number 1, Mom said, if I touch a phone again, she's breaking my hands. So I'm not touching a phone. Right. And number 2 was, this is over. Wow. Finally. But it wasn't. That's what happened at 10. Yeah. So after that, of course, she needs a new babysitter. So she throws us off at my uncle's place. Needless to say, he starts it.
Did your mom know about your grandfather when this was going on?
I don't know that she knew at the time, to be transparent. She was never home. Yeah. So either she was working, playing bingo, or out with guys. And so I don't think she really knew. So she emotionally neglected me on top of being physically and verbally abusive. Yeah. I didn't even know how to talk to my mom. Wow. She wasn't there. She wasn't a mom. Right. And so I just sat with it. During these years of my grandfather abusing me, he also started giving me alcohol and cigarettes. Wow. So I was already smoking. I can remember smoking literally in 3rd grade at 8 years old.
Oh my God.
So here I am addicted already to nicotine.
Yeah. So grandpa dies.
Yep.
But now uncle's in the picture.
Now uncle's in the picture and he takes over.
Cycle's repeating.
Only difference is I'm not a toddler now, right? I'm not an adolescent. Now I'm a preteen.
Mm-hmm.
So like any preteen does that we know today, I have nowhere to put all this trauma.
Right.
I'm not talking. No one's asking questions. And it's just bottling up to the point where it explodes like a volcano. And what do we see happen? I started acting out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started.
You're a bad kid now.
Bad kid now.
Yeah.
You know, delinquent, catching charges.
Yeah.
Like I said, acting out. And at that point, I had 2 things happen to me. And I thought it was going to be my rescue, but it wasn't. But the 2 things that happened was, number 1, my criminal charges started. I started to go to court and rack up, you know, a pretty good rap sheet for myself. Just very defiant, though. Didn't do any of thing that they told me to do.
Yeah.
You know, cutting off the electronic monitors, skipping out on probation. I mean, just you name it, you know. A kid full of trauma.
Yeah.
And running.
And no one there to help.
Jeez. So because of my craziness, though, the school did end up calling CPS because I'm skipping school all the time. I mean, I'm going haywire. I'm going nuts. And so they do get involved.
Yeah.
And I do eventually get removed from the home.
But new place in foster care.
Right. And sadly, I didn't have a name for it back then. I do today because now going through therapy and everything that I know now, it's peer-to-peer recruitment.
Yeah.
I was recruited by a girl in foster care that befriended me.
Did you, and you didn't have a term for it, did you know that it seemed weird because you grew up with this?
No. So let me dive in just a little bit.
Yeah.
So she phrases it, hey, do you want to be friends? And then, you know, of course, like, we're friends and we start talking and she's like, I go to this house, and she was like, dude, we can leave from here. Like, we can go and we can eat, we can drive their cars, like, we can smoke, we can do whatever we want over there. Well, you already know in foster care, I mean, we're bored out of our minds. We don't feel loved. We don't feel cared for.
Yeah.
You know, we're sitting there in our depression. Does that not sound good to you?
Gotta get away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, no, I had no labels for it. I just remember, like, when we got there, I was like, okay, this sounds really fun. But I remember in that exchange, when they asked for the sex, I was like, wait, what?
What?
Hold on. Like, you said we were just going to hang out and chill.
Yeah.
Like, we could just smoke and, like, just chill. Like, somewhere to be away from foster care. She was like, you know, oh, well, like, I mean, what does it matter? Like, you're going to do it anyways. Like,
so she was already used to it.
She was already used to it. And then she put that in my head. And sure, I started to process at that time, like, yeah, I'm already used up anyways. So what does it matter, right?
Jeez.
That, luckily, I didn't stay indulged in that for too long because my criminal cases was catching up with me.
Oh.
I was on the run. I mean, I had warrants out for my arrest. So it was just that matter of time, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. It ended up catching up with me, and I ended up getting caught.
Yeah.
And when I got caught, they knew, like, we're not letting her go. She needs a program. She needs, you know, she needs something restrictor. She's cut off the electronic monitor.
Yeah.
She's not going to comply with our...
Sure. No, not at this point. They've tried a few times.
Correct. More than a few times.
Kim found a way out of it.
I did.
Can I ask the exploitation that you felt from that friend in foster care? Do you think you were already conditioned because of your upbringing prior to that?
Absolutely.
Did other than up until when it came time to talk about sex, did any of it seem weird? Did any of it seem like bad?
I mean, you have to remember, I was already groomed. You said it best. I was already conditioned in that mindset. Think about it. Grandfather was already giving me cigarettes and alcohol and telling me to shut up and don't say anything. I mean, so that was very familiar to me, you know? At first I was a little uncomfortable because these were grown-ups
Yeah.
that wanted to have sex with me, a little 12-year-old.
Yeah.
But in my little 12-year-old mind, I didn't make any sense of it.
Yeah.
I truly didn't. I
You
felt
couldn't. I mean, how
broken.
could-
I felt lost.
Yeah.
I felt used. I mean, and I just didn't care. I didn't care.
I have to ask, at any point in time up to when you remember life starting and the law finally catching up to you, did Kim, other than your brother, ever have an ally?
No. No.
My God.
No.
That's heartbreaking.
The more heartbreaking thing is I really didn't have an ally my entire life.
Yeah.
That's what's even sadder, because this story doesn't stop.
Mm.
It continues, and like I said, I was conditioned all the way up.
Yeah. Johnny Law finally gets you in their grasp. What types of, I guess, detention programs or what was their plan for you?
Yep. So because I had done broke all the other, conditions
Preventative
and
measures,
preventative
yeah.
measures that they put in place. First it was a level 6, then a level 8. I continued to get more and more charges.
Mm-hmm.
I basically ended up riding myself all the way up to a level 10 maximum lockdown secured facility. It's basically like juvenile prison.
Yeah. At what age were you around this?
So all my charges started at about 11.
Mm-hmm.
I got sentenced probably finally after running and, going through all of this. I don't know, 13, 14, this is where my brain goes to mush. Because then it stays locked up until 17.
Wow.
I had to do all that time.
Yeah.
I missed everything. Everything.
Yeah.
I didn't go to high school.
Yeah.
I didn't get a childhood.
Yeah.
I didn't have a prom. I didn't get to be a kid.
Yeah.
It was all ripped from me.
Yeah.
Everything.
I'm assuming at this point in your life, you have been through some therapists.
Yeah.
How do you view that now as a grown woman who was stripped of your childhood? And this was something that, and it's doing it right now. It's giving me that lump in the back of my throat when you mentioned this at the premiere. Excuse me, the premiere that we did, and I could feel the pain in your voice when you said that you were stripped of a childhood. How have you been able to cope with that now, knowing that that's never coming back?
Yeah. The true punchline is I had to grieve the little girl inside me that never got to be a little girl.
Yeah.
I had to write I actually did this not even too long ago because, as you know, healing comes in waves.
Sure.
I had to write my former little girl self a letter.
Yeah.
No one ever apologized.
Yeah.
Your nervous system doesn't relax and heal until it gets the sorry that it needs.
Mm.
I didn't know that. It took me 40 years to figure it out.
Yeah.
Even though you think you're healing, like you said with the therapy that I've had and things like that, you don't realize certain things until you really kind of do a nerdy deep dive research into like the body and how it responds and the nervous system, right?
Yeah.
I can go on a whole tangent with
Oh, yeah.
that. But I had to literally within the past few years write that little girl a letter because it kept waiting for an apology from somebody that never came.
Did you read it to yourself out loud?
Yes. I had to.
How many times did it take to finish?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of tears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did one with my therapist a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I had to forgive myself for the suicide attempt, for the failed marriage, for the alcohol and drug abuse. And I wrote it. I was in tears when I wrote it.
Yep.
But I made the mistake of not reading it out loud until I saw my therapist. And I say that was a mistake because I this had to be the ugliest ugly cry I ever had going on.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to get through the words, because it hits different when
hits.
when you hear it.
Yep.
It hits different. I mean, there were some sentences it took me 3 or 4 times just to finish the sentence.
Yep.
But how did you feel after that when you finally spoke that letter to yourself? Did you feel an instant relief?
No, you go through a grieving process.
Yeah.
You go through a grieving process. At least that's my experience.
Yeah. No, same here.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not a quick fix.
Yeah. It is a little liberating, though.
It is.
You know, to have fun, like you said, to have someone finally say, I'm sorry.
Yep.
In that forgiveness.
Yep.
That was huge for me. Didn't fix everything.
Didn't fix everything.
Obviously.
It
But
helped.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helped.
Yeah.
And it gave me a peace. And it gave me a piece of closure that I never got. Mm-hmm. But it's not a quick fix.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, before we wrap up this segment, was there, and I know you said a lot of it is just blurry at this point, that childhood, especially being detained. Did you ever feel during that time that you were making decisions and trying to fix the situation, but were just stuck? Or do you remember the first time that you made a decision for yourself that was helpful and you were allowed to make that decision yourself without somebody telling you what to do and where to do it and when to do it?
Ooh,
that's a tough one.
It's a loaded one, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 sides to this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One side, I felt like I had autonomy finally when I got out and I was exiting foster care. Didn't want nothing to do with them. Take your ILS and shove it up your butt, which is independent living. If people don't know out there, I felt like the system had failed me.
Yeah.
And so I felt like that was my first decision.
Yeah.
But it left me in survival mode in the streets.
Yeah.
With nothing, no one. And that's where it led to an additional 6 years of straight up human trafficking. So to be transparent with you, I don't think I actually made decisions for Kim until I got in my 30s.
Wow.
Trauma will keep you in cycles.
Yes.
And so, unfortunately, until you heal and you get the help that you need,
yes,
you don't learn how to make decisions for yourself, healthy decisions.
Say that again. Trauma will keep you in cycles.
Yes, trauma will keep you in cycles.
That's powerful, what you just said there. I have never heard it explained that way, or those words in that sequence. We have to take a break, but I think that's a perfect place to end because I want people to live in that for a second.
Yeah.
Trauma creates cycles.
Yeah.
We'll be right back, okay? On the other side, Kim and I are going to dig into the healing side because I'm at the point of crying. So we need to talk about some happy things. But first, a message from our sponsors, Mary and Martha House.
Mary and Martha House is a beacon of hope. For over 4 decades, it continues to shine brightly and illuminate the path towards a better future for countless women and families in need. Since our humble beginnings in 1982, we have dedicated ourselves wholeheartedly to the noble cause of helping those affected by domestic violence and homelessness. Did you know that every day in communities all around us, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 15 children face the terrifying reality of domestic violence? Compassion is the cornerstone of everything we do. We approach each person with a deep understanding of their unique struggles and needs. We foster an environment where respect and appreciation are not just words, but guiding principles that shape our interactions and relationships. Each member of our dedicated team is held to the highest standard, ensuring that compassion guides every aspect of our work. Mary and Martha House is a place where hope takes root, love blossoms, and lives are forever changed.
Please spread the word. Help raise awareness about Mary and Martha House by sharing their mission, success, stories, and upcoming events on social media. By amplifying their message, you can reach a wider audience and encourage others to get involved or make a donation. Please remember, even the smallest act of kindness can make a significant difference in the lives of those in need.
I know I said I wanted to start talking about some happy things, but I do feel like to tie this story together, we do need to at least visit some of the occurrences that you had with the sex trafficking after, and this is after juvenile detention?
Yeah.
And so how did you were already groomed.
Yes.
You're already
groomed, already
you're
conditioned.
ready to go, right?
Yep.
This is the life for Kim.
Yep.
Probably didn't feel like anything else worthy was going to come its way, and so you were let out at 17 or 18?
No, I was 17
Okay.
because honestly, now this part I actually just processed not too long ago because I totally skipped over it.
You're going to make me cry again.
I skipped over it a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't have anywhere to live.
Okay.
I was homeless.
Yeah.
And so aging out of care into homelessness. And so I went back to like a childhood friend's house.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, can I just like sleep here? Like, I don't have anywhere to sleep.
Yeah.
Well, this friend now was addicted to drugs.
Okay.
And I didn't know that when I went there, but it wasn't long after. Then I was offered some. And long story short, he ended up having me sleep with his drug dealer for drugs.
Oh,
I never connected the dots ever.
wow.
You know, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, we were just getting high and partying.
Yeah.
No, he was selling me for drugs.
Yeah.
I ended up getting pregnant by him
Okay.
and giving birth to a baby at 18. Not quite 18, almost 18.
Okay.
So here I am, have this baby alone. And so that's the first sign right there. I'm in the hospital alone, no family, nothing, scared out of my mind.
Yeah.
And the hospital had the opportunity to report that, and they didn't.
Wow.
And so I was missed. I was overlooked.
Again. Yeah.
And thankfully, her father's grandmother was a Christian. Knew I was homeless, knew that like I didn't have a job, knew that I was like really struggling.
Yeah.
And her just being so sweet. She just said, honey, why don't you leave the baby here with me?
Yeah.
And I'll take care of the baby right now until you can get on your feet so that you don't lose her, okay?
Yeah.
And what am I going to do? Here I am, just getting ready to turn 18 with a newborn baby in survival mode.
Yeah.
So I did.
Yeah.
And I was going back and forth,
Did you hate yourself for that?
Now.
Yeah.
Didn't hate myself then.
Sure.
Didn't understand
Yeah.
the concept back then.
Have you been able to forgive yourself for that?
Yes, but I struggle with it, and we're
Sure.
going to get into why.
Okay.
And this is the part that always chokes me up.
Okay.
So, obviously, couch surfing, being homeless, I was, we had hot food bars in gas stations where I'm from. So I walked inside of Dodge's Chicken and got me some hot food out of the bar, and I walked out. This guy jumps out of a Cadillac Escalade truck. He's in his late 30s, early 40s, but doesn't appear that way, very well dressed, manicured, like the whole nine, right? First of all, who even knows about human trafficking back then?
Sure.
Didn't have a label.
Yeah.
Okay. The 3 words that he said to me, usually when I'm speaking about, when I'm sharing my story for education and awareness, I always tell the audience this because it's 3 words that a little girl should always hear from her family, and I always make the audience engage. He said 3 words to me that I'll never forget in my life. And those 3 words I couldn't even receive. And they were, you are beautiful. I just hung my head down. I didn't say anything back. I just immediately was like, But he knew at that very moment.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. She's perfect.
Yeah.
She is a vulnerable victim.
Yeah.
I only understand that concept now because I've really dived in, and we'll get into that, inside the mind of a trafficker and how they think and how they groom and how they manipulate and coerce, and it's crafty.
Yeah.
So he knew at that moment. So let me speed you up just a little bit. And over the next 3 weeks, he wines and dines me.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets to know me. He wants to know everything about me, my history, where I came from, my childhood.
You finally have someone who cares,
That's
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was intrigued. I mean, I was smitten that somebody in my life actually cared enough to ask me how I was, where I came from, the whole nines, everything that you want. Buying me gifts, taking care of me. And I thought he was the perfect boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's how he portrayed.
And so this started how long of a journey for you in this stage?
The grooming process only took him 3 weeks with me.
No?
That's it.
Yeah.
He probably didn't even have to wait 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But he was patient because I was just,
Right on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so asked me, did I want to go on vacation?
Oh.
What girl doesn't want to go on vacation?
Right. Yeah.
I wanted to go on vacation my whole entire life.
Yeah. After the life you've been through?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, of course, I said yes.
Yeah.
Packed all my little bags of everything he bought me, and off we went.
Yeah. How long did you live with him in that stage?
So I'd be remiss if I just said it was him.
Okay.
I was trafficked then all across the nations for 6 years.
Wow.
Just about in every state that you think about that brings in money.
Sure.
Whether it's sporting events, politics, conventions, anything that brings in large amounts of money.
Right.
And so the reason why I say that is because for 6 years, there was 5 pimps that I was trafficked amongst.
All in different states.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And branded twice, like a piece of cattle, now a product, no longer human, dehumanized completely.
Sure.
Programmed.
Yeah.
To the point where I was immersed into the life.
Yeah.
Where I became a bottom.
I don't even know where to begin with, good God, Kim, I'm so sorry. This is heavy. It's a lot. And even still, it's almost like a yo-yo, because at every chance that you think something could be getting better or life is going to get better, they throw you right back down again.
Yeah.
And it just goes from abuse to abuse to abuse, different forms, different people.
Yep.
But it's all the same.
Yeah.
And in those 6 years, at that time,
Yeah.
did you know that something was wrong?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So what type of, or did you try to make any attempts to remove yourself from that life? Because some people can't, some people don't, because, Stockholm syndrome, they try to sympathize with the abuser. Did you?
I had it.
Yeah.
The only time that I knew something was wrong and tried to escape was early on in the game.
Okay.
Of course, when you walk into the hotel room, when we got to South Florida, his bottom at the time was sitting on the bed.
Okay.
So yes, I knew something was wrong. My stomach went to my throat. I wanted to throw up all over the place, and that's where my orders were given. And then everything changed, and he turned into that gorilla pimp, and I had to go to work. So yes, I knew something was wrong.
Sure.
Yes, I thought about times of escaping. Yes, I tried to escape at times and got the living mess beat out of me.
Really?
So you stop trying to escape.
Sure.
Because their manipulation tactics, you got to remember, in the grooming stage, they are getting to know who you have as a support system, where you came from, so that they can then manipulate you to find out what they can utilize in the fraud, force, or coercion stage.
Yep.
He knew I had nowhere to go, no family, no support, and he knew that he could tell me, I will kill you and leave you for dead, try me. And those beatings felt like you were going to die.
Yeah.
So I believed every word of it.
It's the same as don't call 911.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that came back to my mind.
Yeah.
Like, no, this person is for real.
Yeah.
So that's where you transition from, oh, snap, I got to get out of here, to
How?
not even how. The heck with it. I might as well be the best.
Wow.
I'm going to take your spot.
Yeah.
Because in the life, the bottom gets what appears to be the most privileges.
Okay.
So if I can't escape and I can't get out of this,
Make the best of it.
I want the best of it.
How hard is that to sit with now, that you were in such dismay that you figured you would just make the best of it?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
It is so horrible.
Yeah.
But it comes back to that when you're stuck, right? I was trauma bonded to him in Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
I couldn't see past hope, like on the other side. I couldn't see a life for myself. I thought it was destroyed. Because you got to remember, at this point, I'm really thinking, my life is doomed.
Yeah.
Dude, nobody wants me.
Yeah.
I'm used up. I've done drugs now. I've been incarcerated.
Rap sheet.
I got a rap sheet as long as freaking China.
Who's gonna hire me anyway?
Who's going to hire me? I didn't get to go to high school.
Yeah.
I have no freaking future for myself.
No, that's a deep cycle.
It's so
Multi-layers.
deep. Yes.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, and they say, why do they, why don't they leave, or why don't they get out and do something else for themselves?
Yeah.
Man, do you understand the
No,
layers of
they
trauma?
They don't, and that's why they're ignorant enough to say that, because they don't.
Right.
But happy stuff, please. Can we do some happy stuff?
Yes, we can do some happy stuff.
So, thank you for sharing all that.
Yes. You're welcome.
And I'm curious as to, and I don't even know if you could put this down to a certain event or a certain person or whatever, but looking back at it now, or even when you were there in the moment, did you ever have a moment where you felt like, oh shit, I could do something with my life? Where you felt like you were able to break that cycle, at least that trafficking cycle, to be able to work on the other traumas?
Well, that didn't come till many years later.
Okay.
We're going to get out of the heavy stuff.
Okay.
But basically, I was left for dead.
Really?
And I ended up in a domestic violence shelter because there was no label of human trafficking at the time.
Yeah.
Laws were just starting to come into effect with the TPVA bills. And heck, I didn't even know how to put a label or name on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was still dehumanized.
Yeah.
So you think about it, human trafficking victim and a domestic violence victim pretty much
Very
act
similar.
the same.
Yep.
So law enforcement knew to put me in a domestic violence shelter.
Sure.
And that's where I went. And I remember just sitting there completely broken and turning over that card. And he wrote a resource on the back of that card. And, the resource was his church. It was Grace Family Church.
Sure.
And I'm going to be transparent with you. I wanted to die at this time.
Yeah.
I mean, I had done try to off myself so many times. And others had tried to take my life. But I was still left on this earth for a purpose.
Sure.
So I was sitting there. I'm at rock bottom, dude. I have nothing in my life to look forward to. And I was like, I'm bored. You and I both know we can speak this language. I'm sitting inside of a domestic violence shelter on a weekend. I'm like, I'll go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just get out of here.
Yeah.
Something to do.
Not to try and act like I know any of what you're going through, but when I went through boot camp, I became very religious just to get out of doing chores. So I was like, yep, I'm going to church on Sundays so I can get up.
And that was my mindset. That was my mindset.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is there was a whole plan there, because that is where I met people that then started loving on me and pouring into me. And that is how we're getting back to your question.
Yeah.
It was through that love and that healing and them connecting me to different resources and services where it had to be told to me 7, 8, 9 times that I was a victim before I could truly understand that concept.
Sure.
But finally, I started to deal with everything.
Yeah.
But boy, it was coming undone like a freaking...
Do you remember the first person that you let your walls down to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What did that feel like? Probably scary
Scared.
at first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scared.
But, because everybody that you've thought you could put your trust into,
Yes.
left you for dead.
I trusted no one.
Yeah. How did you finally
did
come
not.
around?
Took time.
Yeah.
It was not on my part. It was on their part.
Okay.
You have to have enough patience,
Yeah.
enough consistency, and enough knowledge and understanding how trauma works.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these people, I don't believe they were put in my life by accident because they did all of that.
Wow.
I mean, just loving and patient and consistent. Didn't force me to share my story. Didn't force me to say what happened to me. Just kept
Like
loving
I'm
on
doing
me.
right now. No.
Well, you're not forcing me. I'm here to now educate and allow the community to understand what this hidden, traumatic atrocity looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Kim starts letting some walls down.
Yeah.
And actually met with love and compassion. Did you ever think that was fake?
I didn't trust it at first.
Yeah.
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 But when it was consistent
Yeah.
and when they didn't ask me for nothing in return,
Something's different.
something was different.
Yeah.
And so trust was built over time.
Sure.
I have a phrase that I always like to tell people, and I stand on it. And the reality of it is trust is not given, it's earned.
Mm-hmm.
It's built.
Mm-hmm.
It's built in the darkness.
Yes.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
Is they didn't push me or rush me. They just waited patiently.
Yeah.
Till I knew that they were safe people.
At what point do you feel like you were turning that corner? Again, this is a gradual process.
Yeah.
You have to learn to trust again. You have to learn to love again. You have to learn to be loved.
Yep.
For you, the first time.
Yep.
Truly.
Yep.
And truly cared for. Was there a significant event or something that happened, or maybe a significant conversation with somebody that really got you on the hope train? Like, I feel like I'm turning a corner here.
The reality is, I openly share because it's what did it for me.
Okay.
I kept going back to that church, and like I said, those women just kept loving on me, and they led me to Christ.
Yeah.
And I was atheist my whole life.
Sure.
I didn't know. I didn't understand. I didn't believe. I didn't have a concept. I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And so that is the reality of mine, is that I'd still, because you have to remember, I didn't have anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have this, this mentor in my life. But besides that, I had no one.
Yeah.
I still didn't have any therapy.
Yeah.
I still didn't have all these safe houses and programs and resources that we have now for survivors and victims. So I didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
So that is the reality truth of my story. It was my faith.
Yeah.
Because every time I'd open up the word, it was like freaking pages were just jumping at me. It was like what I was going through was there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
it was comforting me.
Yeah.
And I found hope in Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's my story.
When it comes to that type of trafficking, and again, when you were going through it, wasn't a term. At best, maybe kidnapping and exploiting, but there was none of the intricacies with it.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of people out there that don't know what human trafficking involves.
Right.
And which is one of the reasons why I did the episode with Dottie. But what's still one big misconception that you witness, or that maybe a question you're asked over and over again, where it's like, okay, you really don't understand what we're talking about, that you need to educate people on? What's one like major misconception that's still flying around out there when it comes to trafficking and sex trafficking?
You would think that people would understand these few things that I'm going to bring up with all the education and awareness that we now have.
Okay.
One, they still, for some reason, I meet so many people that's like, they don't realize it's happening in their backyard and what exactly human trafficking or sex trafficking is.
Sure.
They still label it as prostitution or child prostitution.
Right.
A child can't consent to sex.
Right.
We know there's no such thing as child prostitution anymore since the laws have been passed.
Sure.
But they still like to call it that. And then there's the factor of, oh, well, they don't think that, that's happening over here. It's still this misconception that it's only happening overseas and, in the way that they see international domestic sex trafficking, they're not thinking about what it is here. And what the reality is anything in exchange for a sexual favor, it doesn't have to be money. It can be anything, food, cell phone, lodging, anything. It falls underneath sex trafficking.
Right.
That is sex trafficking.
Right.
Especially when it's a minor.
Yeah.
So I think those are the biggest misconceptions still, is the reality of people and parents understanding it's happening right here.
Yeah.
And so much more now that we have social media, because 100 million people are in your freaking daughter's bedroom with her.
Opened up a whole new world.
Whole new world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kim, we were supposed to be talking about happy stuff, and somehow we just ended back on that. However, we have one more break to take, and the next segment is going to be a bunch of badass stuff. So if we can't get happy here, at least we can talk about how much of a badass you are. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
We'll take one more break, but first, if somebody listening to this podcast right now is in the thick of it, knowing that one thing you say today will not make a difference, but if you plant that seed for the future, what's something that you can give somebody out there to give them a little bit of hope that may hopefully manifest over the years?
The reality is like when I was in the thick of it, I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't listening to what anyone had to say. But the hope that I can offer is that even though you can't see that right now, even though you can't see outside of what looks a hot mess express that I like to call to you, there is hope on the other side. I know because my life looked hopeless.
Yeah.
But if you could take one step of bravery in the right direction, it literally will open a window of endless opportunities, of resources, of hope, of literally changing your entire life. And it's not for you, it's for the generations after you.
Yeah.
So it's impacting generations. And that's what changed it for me.
Yeah.
Was when I finally hit rock bottom and came to reality.
Yeah.
I thought about my daughters.
Yeah.
I have to stop this. I have to change the trajectory of their life so that this generational cycle was done with me.
Yeah.
And so that's what I always encourage victims and survivors that I come in contact with is, baby, I want you to think about your children. If you don't do it for yourself, do it for your children or your future children.
Yeah.
Do it for the healed version of yourself.
Yeah.
Because there is beauty on the other side. I promise you.
Yeah.
You just have to walk through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Thanks.
Yeah. On the other side, Kim's going to talk to us about all of her work in the task force, and hopefully she'll teach me how to throw a ninja star finally. We'll be right back. I know we're trying to get away from all the bad stuff, right? We tried happy. For some reason, you and I just weren't meant to be happy. But we can get into some of the actionable items that you're now turning this into. Before we get into that, though, at what point did you say to yourself, I've gotten out, I found community, I found love, I found support. Now I want to stick it to these bastards.
This is where we get happy.
Thank you. I haven't laughed in an hour. I really needed that.
This is where we get happy.
Okay, let's go.
There wasn't no happy until I got in my 30s.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So at what point were you like, Let me do, I want to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after I got out and I started to stand on my 2 feet, I couldn't get a job anywhere because of everything we just discussed.
Sure.
I already have that entrepreneur mind.
Mindset, yeah.
Yeah, the mindset of it. So I opened up my own cleaning business.
Okay.
And it really was just a stepping stone, to be truthful.
To do something.
Yeah, do something. But really, I knew it wasn't where I was called to be.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
And so I started to go and just serve at the foster cares on the weekends.
Oh, cool.
I started cooking them breakfast.
Oh, get out.
Yep. And just going out there and loving on them. And I did that for a while. And then other doors of opportunity started to open up.
Yeah.
And basically doors of opportunity to start sharing my story.
Okay.
And so I slowly started to get into that.
Okay.
And
scary at first, I'm
it was
sure.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was scary. And looking back over it, I'm just like, oh, wow. Like,
I can't believe I did that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's just it right there, though, is like that door of opportunity actually ended up opening for a position for me to land into, which was advocacy position and mentoring. And think about it. I had already been equipped and preparing this whole time, not knowing it, because I'm just going in there in these foster cares because I'm like, I know what I needed when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I just needed somebody to love on me.
Yep.
I just wanted to be loved.
Yep.
So I was like, I can go give them love and make them breakfast for free. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to do something in that field. So when this door of opportunity came to me, I didn't look for it.
Okay.
Somebody was in the crowd, saw me speaking, and then came and approached me after I was done speaking.
Oh, wow. Do you remember what speaking event it was?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yep. It was
Where
in
was it?
Pinellas County. Restored a Dream at the time, I think it was called.
Okay. Okay.
So anyways,
So they walked up to you and they're like,
Yep.
we like what you're saying and we would like you to start doing this. And you were like, absolutely, I feel fully equipped to do everything, right?
No,
No,
nope.
of course not.
Nope, of course not.
You still got
So,
a lot of
yes.
trauma to deal with still.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they were just an employee for that agency.
Okay.
But what they did was they went back and they told their bosses. They were
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, we need this girl on our team. She has lived experience. She would be an amazing advocate.
Sure.
Needless to say, they reached out, gave me the application. But like you said, I was like pondering it and like meditating on it and praying about it and the whole nine because I was like, I don't know.
Did you ever think you weren't qualified to do it?
I did.
Yeah.
And I had countless times where I literally was just like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And, you know, my cleaning business was growing and everything. So anyways, I had to sit on that for a while and really like pray about it, you know, and the whole thing. But
Well, the long answer is yes.
the long answer is yes. Because the more I thought about it, the more I did that, you know, it was yes. Everything kept saying yes.
Yeah.
So I did it.
Sure.
And I did that for 8 years.
Nice.
Maybe about 7, to be honest with you. Yeah, probably about 7 years.
It's okay to lie to me too if you want. Yeah. So.
Well, I started to think about it. I'm like, well, I've been in the field about 9 years now.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Yeah. But while I was advocating, though, that's kind of how I got into what I'm in.
Okay.
Because think about it, like when I was out there advocating and the caseloads that were coming in, during this time frame, I am doing a lot of judicial work. So working with judges and working in the court systems to advocate on their behalf of their criminal cases. I'm having to meet with law enforcement detectives and, you know, different types of investigators because they're having to go through interviews.
Yeah.
They are being recovered from scenes and they'll call me out to come and, you know, do services in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So I'm making all these connections. And so that's how it really began.
Yeah.
I started to grow my network.
Good. That's awesome.
It flourished.
Yeah. When it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yep.
And that's how it happened. And I know before we broke, I made the joke about the Ninja Star and I made the joke at the podcast premiere that we had with Dottie.
Yeah.
And what I thought was funny is that in Dottie's episode, I asked her in the last time she beat someone up, she goes, do you want to find out? And then at the panel, I asked, because I wanted somebody to ask about your task force work. And I asked you, I just really want to know how good you are at throwing a Ninja Star. And you said, do you really want to find out? So I was like, nope.
How ironic.
I don't. But I know I joke about that, but it's not all just actionable item. Like, you're part of the planning,
Yeah.
and you've been a part of a few task force recently over the past couple years that have brought home hundreds of kids.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to talk about any of those?
Yeah, we can talk about some of those
Okay.
because now it's public information.
Sure. Okay.
So we
Fair
just
enough.
can't talk about what we have in the works.
Okay.
So needless to say, my advocacy career ended and I went into the law enforcement field, which I now hold the title of the law enforcement expert. And basically what that means is I work with all our federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies.
Okay.
I'm a part of several task forces, but what I primarily do, I'm gifted. I build multi-jurisdictional teams.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. Anybody can do a raid or a missing children's operation or sting operation, what have you, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
But can you do it and get successful results in the best interest of the child in
Correct.
a trauma-informed manner?
Correct.
That's the expertise that I bring. That's the difference that I bring.
Sure.
And so I build out these teams utilizing, medical and, nonprofits that have, the trauma-informed care support and DCF and DJJ and, all of your key component players that are involved in this child's life or going to be involved in this child's life.
Okay.
The whole idea is every service needs to be in that room.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one. We don't need to go fishing for a service.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we do is we basically sit down and we pull the missing children's FDLE list, the whole state of Florida. And that itemizes and shows us how many children are missing in each county. And then I'm able to go through the list. Thank goodness that I had all of the years of advocacy, because to be honest with you, I can look at this list and pretty much tell you which ones are highly critical
Okay.
and high risk, which means the most endangered
Sure.
because they are constantly on runaway status.
Yeah.
Or you look at the indicators and by looking at the indicators, okay, these kiddos are highly endangered.
Sure.
So basically we go through, we obviously...
And this wasn't going on before.
No, I mean, think about it. Of course, you have your operations, but at this type of successful level,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So I guess what I'm saying is, previous to you going there, do you know if they had any survivors in the room when they started talking about these task force?
No, I mean, it's taken a lot of us survivors, a while to get in the door, to have a seat at the table, because
Right.
we know a lot of folks work in silos, right? And unfortunately, some more than others,
Yeah.
but that door opened up for me, and that is the beauty, because we are able to all sit down at a table and all bring our expertise and our knowledge.
Right. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes. I'm like, I don't know why y'all didn't start this a long time ago.
Seriously.
But the success rate has been amazing.
Good.
So we do these
Good.
large operations that sometimes they can be multi-jurisdictional. And the whole purpose of it is to ensure that not only are we recovering kiddos, but also the people that are harming our kiddos in Florida need to pay a price.
Absolutely.
And so that's the reality of things, is like, okay, we have to do more than just recover the kid. Yeah, we have to recover the kid, put the trauma-informed services in place, but then also, I'm sick of this crap. Like, you're going down.
Okay, and so here comes Kim, guns blazing,
Yep.
into the boardroom, ready to, ready, aim, fire. What is that like? It's something that most people are never going to experience, a task force like that with such a heavy topic and a heavy burden. But you look like you have fun when
I do.
Just looking at when you talk about
Yeah.
it, you look like you have fun doing
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I'm passionate.
Yeah.
So when you say what fires me up and
Yeah.
what makes me happy and how I healed, let me tell you something. When I pull that little 10-year-old girl out of that house, or that little 14-year-old, and I can not only give her the resources and services that she deserves and meet her exactly where she's at or he's at, because little boys too,
Yeah.
but when I can sit there and stay on her case for the next 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever it takes,
Sure.
I always hope and pray that the the kiddo never has to go to trial. But let me tell you something. Those double digits is what I'm pushing for.
Yeah.
I know if she has to do it alone, she's not going to make it to trial.
Right.
But if you can sit there and hold his or her hand and fight for her or him, the reality is I can't even count on two hands now the double digit sentences that I have got for these traffickers at this point. By fighting. Because listen, law enforcement and prosecutors that are good, they're good because you help them make the case good, if that makes sense. She needs to be able to talk. She needs to be able to open up and share. She needs to be able to give them as much as possible so that we can get as much as possible time and prosecute. Because these cases are hard. It's imperative. It is imperative. And now we got those life sentences if the child is under 12 or has disabilities.
Really?
That's right. That's right.
When did that take effect?
Yep. Laws just passed. Just this past bill that just went through the House.
Okay.
Yep. So now it is in effect as of October 1 in the state of Florida.
Okay.
If you think you're going to traffic or exploit our children under the age of 12, or if they have disabilities.
At any age? Okay.
You can now face the death penalty.
Wow.
I've been waiting for it.
I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I believe in restoration.
Sure.
But I believe in justice for your crime.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
You want to exploit our kids?
Yeah.
You're going to do the crime for the time.
I had a thought run through my head a little earlier today when I was talking or writing down notes for the task force, this section. Yeah. And you kind of gave me a little bit of an answer when you walked through what led you to start doing the task force work. But I'm sure there was opportunities where you could have went the judicial route. You could have went the like the hardcore law enforcement route. What do you think led you to do what you're doing right now instead of, because there's other avenues to take, right? Like you say, in these task force, you got to get people from all different sides to help those kids, and they're all helping. So what made this one special to you?
So listen, I have had some opportunities. I've had almost just about every agency that I work with. Kim, we'd like to bring you on. Everyone, right? So I could be any kind of investigator or I could probably hold any position I want.
Yeah.
I did not go through everything that I went through for darn near 30 years of my life to not be able to give back in the manner that I'm giving back. Sure, I could go sit and push paper or whatever. That's not what I'm called to do. I want to be that person that stands in the gap for that kiddo when they have not been able to find their voice.
Yeah.
Or for that young adult that has literally had their voice ripped from them for many years and they don't know how to utilize it yet.
Yeah.
And so it's not where I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to help. I want to be the one that also changes the system. So I work on policy. So legislative laws, like what we just talked about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to be able to still do these things. And I also know that if I take a different route and just push paper, I'm losing everything.
Yeah.
I'm losing that connection with the victims. Sure. I'm losing, the opportunity to change systematic culture and changes and put laws in place that protect our children. I want to make a difference.
Sure. Do you think you ever might get to a stage in your life where you do want to kind of not pull back, but maybe just help out in a different avenue, maybe on the judicial side, or have you thought about that?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, sometimes I do play with the idea because I know the possibilities at this point in my life are endless because now I've got almost 10 years of experience in the field in all different avenues and well diverse.
And what you're doing is very taxing emotionally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at some point, your body may just tell you, look, girl, we've had enough of this. It's been a good run. We can still fight the good fight, but we're going to do this a different way. Yeah. So any thoughts in your mind yet? Like, not like that, but any thoughts of where you might take your next step to, or are you just still having too much fun right now?
No, I'm still having too much fun right now. I'm not done throwing my ninjas.
Okay. So I have to ask and answer how you can. What's one of the coolest moments you've had whilst being on some of these task force that you could relive 1,000,000 times over again if life would let you?
Yeah. I think some of the most fulfilling moments is watching all my brothers and sisters, my partners in law enforcement, do what they're skilled at, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then hitting a hard stop and saying, how are we going to accomplish this?
And then you roll in with your cape.
That's right.
Boom.
And that's where my
Have
mindset
no
steps
fear.
in. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we're going to get it done. X, Y, and Z. And an example would be is the network of connections that I have are just about endless at this point. So we, in this last operation with the U.S. Marshals, I can talk about it because it's public now. We had kids that needed to be recovered out of state.
Yeah.
What happens when you find a kid that's in Kansas and you're running your operation in Florida?
Right. That's tricky.
Kim steps in.
Yeah.
I'm one of the board of directors for Boomerang Missions. Load up the jet right now with fuel. We've got a kid to go get. We're on a mission.
Yeah.
You bring them into the fight with you.
Yeah.
So it's all about collaboration and partnership. And so it's in the moments like that, right, where we all understand that we have a wealth of knowledge in that room.
Yeah.
But in those moments where each one of us can only play our parts.
Yeah.
And so whether that is lending my expertise and my knowledge, whether that's me scraping ads on the computer in the command post and me being able to point things out to them and show them things that they totally would have missed otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or whether that's me calling up my friend and saying, gas up that jet right now. We're going to get a kid in Kansas. So
It does sound like fun if you have the stamina for that. And I would have to imagine that just your years of fighting and scratching and clawing your way through life has just given you this stamina to not be let down like you were let down so many times over and over again.
yeah.
Keep going with it. Like as long as you can. I see what the media allows us to see when it comes to these task force and things like that. And I know that you have your hand in a lot of these. And I know there's a lot that I don't know about that you still have your hand in, and that you have helped so many people. But this type of situation needs somebody with the energy that you bring to the table. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
I would be remiss if I didn't let some of your fire spill out. Okay. If you would, I would love for you to look into that camera there.
Okay.
And I want you to tell a trafficker what's going to happen if they continue trafficking.
You may do it for selfish gain right now, and you may think that you can exploit that person's vulnerabilities. But I promise you, in the state of Florida, if you dare to think that you are going to exploit a vulnerable person, minor or adult, we are going to come after you. And you will get the maximum sentence that I can push for it. If I'm involved on that case, you should be really scared for your life because it's over once I catch you.
I'm scared you scared the shit out of me with that. Good God, Kim. Yes. That's what I love about you. You just got that fire.
Yes.
You got that energy.
Yes.
All right, let's tone it down.
Yeah.
Now, I'm impressed you did that so professionally too. Cuz I'm sure you just had a lot of curse words that just wanted to come out.
Yeah, I just wanted to say really bad
You
things.
did it so well.
Really bad things.
You did it so well. Okay, but let's take a reverse. When you first make contact with a victim, how do you let them know everything's going to be okay? How do you let somebody know who was Kim, who's been defeated and lied to and left for dead time and time again? How do you get them to believe you that you are actually here to help?
Yeah. Let me remind you, when you ever make contact with a victim, the first thing you always do is just make sure that they're okay. You don't know the last time that they ate.
Yeah.
You don't know the last time that they even had a bottle of water. And maybe they did eat and have something to drink, but it doesn't matter. Make sure they're comfortable. Are you recovering them in skimpy clothes? Mm-hmm. Take sweats with you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Sweats and a t-shirt. Like that's what I do in my operations as well. Yeah. I make sure that they feel valued, that they feel seen, that they feel cared for. So food, snack, or I keep gift cards on me for fast foods. Yeah. And I'll send somebody to go get it. And drinks and clothes. Number one is making sure that they feel safe in that way, right? When your foundational needs are met, then you can calm down and relax the nervous system.
Yeah.
So I don't go straight in for a story. I don't go straight in to get information out of them. That's not even my goal in the first place. I understand what it feels like to be broken in that moment.
Yeah.
And so that's where I come in with that love and compassion. But then after I meet with them and I make sure that their needs are met, I still don't ask them anything.
Mm-hmm.
I let them know who I am and why I'm there.
Yeah.
Because I know that labels have been put on them their entire life. And I want them to know that I've stood in their shoes.
Yeah.
I've walked where they've walked. And so I explain a little bit about who I am and where I've been and the triumphs I've overcame. And let me tell you something, every time when they look up with their little eyes, man, that part.
Yeah.
Because they know that in that moment, somebody gets them. Finally.
Yeah.
And so then they start to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And you just build that rapport with them.
Yeah.
But it's all about just meeting them where they are.
Yeah.
And when she's ready to talk, she'll talk.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to force them. And that's what I remind all my buddies. Slow down.
Mm.
I know we're on a timeline, but slow down.
Yeah.
You can afford a few extra minutes
Sure.
to treat her with humanity and respect.
Sure. Kim, this was supposed to be our fun segment. We did it again. And I'm sorry. It's all my fault. It is my fault.
You asked the question.
I know. I don't know why I do that. And I do it to myself too, because it's. Well, okay. I want to thank you so much for coming out to do this. Again, I know you had to drive a long ways to get here. We're not exactly in central location. So, but also, I really appreciated you on the podcast premiere that we did with Dottie. I thought having you there was such a huge impact. And you were actually being interviewed for a news story while we were getting ready to do the podcast, right?
Right.
And local news did the whole month of January. They did a 5-segment piece, was it?
Yeah.
On human trafficking. And so you did amazing on those, by the way. I saw those. But again, thank you for coming down here and doing our humble little podcast here, because this is all information that a lot of people are very ignorant to, and it's has a huge impact on the world that we live in.
Yeah.
And I'm super happy we got people like you out there fighting that fight. And again, like I said, in the future, if I can be of any service, please let me know.
All right.
Because and as you alluded to earlier, DV and human trafficking, a lot of the same similarities there. I just got my advocate certificate.
Yay.
So I'm looking for a
awesome.
mentor in there. So let me know. I won't put you on the spot because I know we're on, podcast, but keep me in mind. Just saying. So.
Alrighty, I sure will.
Awesome. Well, thanks
It's been
again.
a pleasure
I
being
appreciate
here.
you, Kim. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.